So this week I decided to try something different. I worked on for the past week a 5 at the back tactic. An iteration of this, a successful iteration of this tactic, was given to FM Girl for the FM playoffs, and she was able to get to the semifinals. So I think a pretty successful tactic. And in that semifinals, probably should have won the game. And in the one match that FM Girl lost in the actual prelim stage, also that game she should have won that game. So I think most games, if the tactic in FM Girl's hands in PvP did very well. So I think this 5 at the back tactic has the goods to be good in both against the AI, as the testing database will show, and has some potential in the PvP landscape too. So it's definitely one to look out for. Next week, I'm going to try and do something different, because over the course of the testing and the creation of this tactic, a lot of the same principles of the narrow tactics I've been working on were kind of applied, and that led to the strong testing results. So next week, we're going out of the box. I mean, not quite literally, because we're going to be playing wingers, right? Wingers are going to be a feature of the next tactic. We're going to see if I can make something play wide and well in this current match engine, and we'll see how it goes. But for this week, 5 at the back is the name of the game. I'm not going to go through the methodology this week. There are 4 other testing videos. You can jump back and watch some of those videos. You'll get an explanation of the way the Total Tactics testing database works. But going forward, I think we're just going to kind of reference that's the database. You can join the Discord. The link is in the description. We're testing with Napoli in 4 different leagues, and as we go through the results, you'll kind of see what those leagues are and how they make up. But let's talk a little bit about the tactic. All right, so this is the tactic, and this week I've chosen to zoom in a little more than last week, because I think it's been getting a little bit difficult to kind of see all the roles, and hopefully this increases your ability to sort of appreciate the different tactical style and some of the player roles with a bigger font size and a little bit more zoomed in. Okay, so this is the tactic. It is symmetrical tactic, right? There's no asymmetry here, even among the player roles. And also it's utilizing a lot of the player instructions and team instructions that we've been learning about from the narrow diamond tactic that we tested, I believe on episode 3. So it's different roles than was used in the narrow diamond. And this is a tactic that I've had for a while, and like I said in the intro, gave to FM Girl. But since I've given this tactic over to FM Girl, I have made some changes, and most of those changes do involve applying some of the principles from Fuzzy's narrow diamond. Not all of them. Most of the team instructions are the same. Some of the PIs are a little bit different, but it's obviously I've learned a lot from that tactic, which is something that I think a lot of tactics creators and just FM players in general should be looking to do, right? Play with a tactic, learn why it works, apply the things that you've learned to other shapes and to other situations so that you can build the best tactic that you can. But all right, advance forwards. Both of these players are set to stay wider, take fewer risks, and shoot less often. You will see in some of the goal highlights later how that stay wider instruction actually means the advance forwards sort of hold up the ball sometimes without being told to, especially in combination with take fewer risks, right? So this advance forward will drift a little bit into this space during a build-up, and the other advance forward will pin back the defense and play on the shoulder of the last defender. But the advance forward that's on the ball side of the field will often be almost in a stay wide holding position, which allows the Shadow Striker and the CM attacks to crash through the middle, just like we've seen in several different tactics on the channel so far. So it also means this advance forward is in a better position to link up with the IWB, right? In a 5-2-1-2, normally this would be a wingback or a complete wingback who is crossing to the advance forward, right? And the advance forward stays more near to that central channel. But with the stay wider role and this IWB holding possession up here, it creates a natural link up and a passing triangle with the CM attack, right? So these 3 players, when you're in possession, have a very natural link up together. The other interesting thing and difference between this tactic and FM Girl's tactic is the ball playing defenders over wide center backs. I've just sort of decided I'd rather them make vertical runs up the channel to gain that space rather than any kind of dangerous overlap with the IWBs that would isolate the center back. the central defender, right? So this ball playing defender will take some space, especially the space that's left behind by the CM attacks as they push forward. There'll be a lot of channel advancement and ball advancement by these ball playing defenders. That is a very effective way to make sure that you're claiming territory on the pitch and pushing your like defensive line a little bit higher without it being risky. Ball playing defenders are a huge part of the match engine for that very, very reason, and a reason why I much prefer them to wide center backs. But Alice, FM Girl, gave me instructions to utilize a libero and wide center backs in the tactic that I gave her to use in that competition. So, but I prefer the ball playing defender, so I think it makes for a better tactic and made a difference in the testing results. But that's like really the primary interplay, because I don't really want to beat a dead horse when it comes to this like front five of players, right? They're all on attack. They're all centrally located, right? They're running these gaps in the middle that are created by the strikers going wide. They're created by this IWB on support putting a hold on the defender, which is something we talked about in the other videos. Like, you don't have to have an overlapping run to have width, right? If this IWB sits here in this high wide channel, which this will often do, sit right about here on the field, their fullback has to kind of stay and keep an eye on them, right? So even the IWBs are warping a little bit and preventing those fullbacks from crashing inward to help mark the AF or pick up some of the CM runs. So it definitely is utilizing a lot of the same principles that we've been talking about. It uses these ball-playing defenders to grab real estate up the pitch and then overloads the middle. The stay wider, the take fewer risks, I should say. Instruction is another big key to, I think, why this tactic works. And hopefully it's something that you see. I think I see it in these goal highlights, but hopefully you do too. So let's take a look at some highlights before we sit down and discuss the results. All right, so in this highlight, I think what I want to kind of illustrate is why the tactic doesn't play wide center backs. I love the channel push by the ball playing defenders rather than the wider runs from the wide center backs, which tends to play in their like wide players, right? So there you see a wide attacker here. Like a wide center back taking a slightly different angle gives Vitolo a better chance to put some pressure on Jesus and prevent Jesus from taking the like acres of space that is like in front of Jesus here. Now, if you're playing like wing backs, then maybe the wide center back like would draw Vitolo and then give him an easy pass to the wing back. But the tactic plays inverted wing backs, so I definitely want the ball-playing midfielders running that channel so the IWBs will occupy the attacker, or when we're further upfield, the IWBs will occupy their fullback instead of the fullback kind of like collapsing centrally. So Jesus is a ball-playing defender. He's going to take this space. So let's kind of see what the options are. It's a pretty swift counterattack, so we'll talk quickly through various options. So we'll play here with Jesus. And he takes a ton of space, right? Goes all the way through the circle. And Osimhen is just holding up. One of the reasons why Osimhen's an advanced forward, he's holding up because of take less risks. So Osimhen's not like pushing here against the back line. Instead, he's making himself a passing option with stay wider, with take less risks, and it puts him in a position when the ball is on this side of the field to be a part of the buildup, rather than just kind of standing here, and there are less options, obviously, for a buildup. Like, Jesus would have nowhere to go if Osimhen wasn't holding the ball up. So that is one of the reasons why the strikers are set to do that. All right, so let's see what happens here from Osimhen. He's got runners, right? He's got Tonali, and he's got Zielinski, and he's got this guy over here. This would have to kind of be a first-time ball over the top to really play in Muriel. My guess is Osimhen probably plays it to either Zielinski or Tonali. So he holds on the ball for a little bit, and this guy right here, right, Joao Felix, just stopped chasing. So it meant that there was just the one midfielder chasing back with Tonali and Zielinski, and Felipe now has to mark both of them, right? So Felipe is going to attack the ball. Zielinski is going to get to peel off and head into the box, while Jimenez is occupied by the other striker, Muriel. So, right, we've created this 2-on-1, and this should be an easy finish for Zielinski. Now, you get a little special treat here on this highlight, and Zielinski rabonas the ball into the back of the net. Now, you get a little special treat here on this highlight, and Zielinski Rabonas the ball. Just like absolutely absurd finish by Zielinski. All right, on this highlight, we're going to start the ball all the way back from Ospina. So none of this like starting the ball in the midfield in the middle of a build-up. Let's see this goal from start to finish. All right, so we'll hit play here. Ospina is going to play this short, right? There's no pressure yet on these strikers, although there are some forward attacking players that could get those press triggers going very quickly if the defense isn't careful. But let's see how this play develops. So Ospina lets this one go out to his left to Rachmani, who plays it over to Bremer. Now, Bremer is under a little bit of pressure, but Tonali does well to come back and give him a release valve, plays it into the middle to Zielinski. Now, this is where we pause, because Muriel, there's one defender back at this point. It's just Denayer. Muriel has the inside run. So it'll be interesting to see what happens to these two players here, especially Castello Jr., whether or not Castello Jr. has to peel off to kind of help in this area centrally, or if just no one ever hits this gap, Muriel runs this channel, puts a hold on Denayer, and there's acres of space in the middle. So remember, Zielinski on the ball. He's running with Aouar and Tonali behind. All right, so let's see how this where this play develops from here. Zielinski gets tackled off the ball by Castello, and it falls straight to Fabian, which is very fortuitous because we can see here, because Castello went for the tackle and didn't like back off into space, instead there's still a just massive gap here in the middle of the field, and Zielinski and Tonali can attack this space, and we'll see if Castello's caught flat-footed or if Castello's there, because obviously Aouar is not going to be able to get to that ball because Fabian has it and is marking Fabian, so playing this into space. Boateng's not going to get there in time either. He maybe even has a hold on his position because of Osimhen. He might not know about Dubois behind, so we'll see what Fabian does, but this is just another example of how this tactic and others that we've talked about on the channel before just does a great job with numbers through the middle, short, safe passes through balls into space that are then capitalized by the runners in the form of a goal. So let's see what Fabian's able to do here. So Fabian takes a little bit of space and then just dinks it forward to Tonali, who's running alongside him with no pressure whatsoever on the ball by Tonali. If we back this up again just a little bit, you'll be able to see like how that just kind of developed. So let's click this backwards, right? Fabian right here, as soon as Fabian starts to feel the pressure from Aouar, he just kind of lays it off. And remember, we talked about how the rest of the midfield a little bit flat-footed because of that attempted tackle by Castello, and the numbers are there to capitalize. So Fabian is here leading the ball, but as soon as he has to shoot less often and he has to take fewer risks, right? So as soon as this defender gets close, he tips it off. Muriel has occupied Denayer this entire possession, and there's just like 3-on-2 at best, 3-on-1 here in the middle of the field. So we obviously saw this once before, but Fabian right there, the safe dink forward to Tonali, who just lashes a goal into the side netting. Okay, we're going to take another highlight here from start to finish. So we've got Alex Merritt on the ball, rolls it out to Jesus. Jesus feels a little bit of pressure, plays it wide to Bremer, who goes out wide here to Hateboer. Now, Hateboer is playing as an inverted wingback, so his first instinct is going to be to roll inside here. And if he beats this defender, it looks like he has tons of space, right? Which means that if either Gruezo or Iago overreact to Hateboer's run, it's going to start to create openings. Either Urukai is going to have to slide over. It might mean that Oxford has to slide over. It also might mean that Urukai slides over, but there's no compensation by Oxford, and there's a gap in the middle. So those are the kind of things that happen here when the IWB is in possession deep in his own half. If he beats this man and then can take that channel space, definitely leads to problems for the defense as they have to kind of adjust to that. Because not only is Hateboer rolling inside with the ball, but there are 3 midfielders and 2 strikers all operating centrally as well. So it just creates more of this overload that we keep talking with these recent tactics. So let's see where Hateboer goes with the ball, right? So he does. He beats his man and then drives through the channel. Now, he didn't get Oxford. Wait, where's Oxford backed off, right? And he's got Urukai staying on Insigne. But that's isolated Dorsch here in the middle. And we can see once again, it's another one of these highlights where Lobotka, Pessina, and Elmas are all just kind of free running through the middle, and Insigne is going to get to this ball and he's going to have choices, right? So I want you to remember one other thing. These strikers are set to stay wider and run wide with the ball and take fewer risks, right? So they're not going to just like shoot front and shoot less often. So they're not just going to like waste a shot, right? This Insigne is likely to hold the ball up here, turn the ball out, and try to look for the pass, which is what I think is beautiful about this tactic and about the wide diamond. I mean, the narrow diamond, I apologize, that we already showcased on the channel. All right, so here's Insigne with the ball. And right here, as soon as it gets a little bit risky, he pauses, turns the ball out, fires the ball into the middle, right to Elmas, who's making the very, very easy run. So if we back it up again, we can kind of see what happens, the breakdown here in the midfield chasing. Okay, so again, here, 4-on-3, right? And this guy, just based on whatever his instructions are, Han, just doesn't continue the run. Like, he just doesn't track Elmas. This defender, Oxford, already has a body. That's Milic, right? Milic also playing as that advanced forward, take fewer risks, so isn't necessarily all the way up here pushing the line back. Instead, these runners like Pacina is bodied, Lobotka is bodied, and if we start to advance the play, right, Insigne is turning out, and Han just stops running. Right, and this takes advantage of that. And even if Han hadn't stopped running, right, he's got the ball here to Lobotka that he can make, right? And then if Lobotka receives the pass, Lobotka probably has a really easy job to pass this ball into space, and he might have like one of these runners getting the jump again on their marker. So instead, Insigne is able to, though, because Han stops running, Insigne is able to play that ball through. Elmas is there, first time finish, and that wraps up the win for Napoli. And finally, the results. This tactic is one of the best tactics I have tested so far in the testing database. Just looking at some of these point totals, the point totals aren't necessarily what is the most important takeaway here. What is the most important is the goal difference relative to the league, right? All right, so we start in the Elite League, okay? And in the Elite League, this is where this tactic has really shown. 93 goals for, only 46 advance. Both totals are best in the Elite League, and a plus 47 goal difference is more than double the goal difference of Man City, who beat us by 2 points, right? So like the point total sort of irrelevant. I mean, it's relevant, but when it's that close, the goal difference is a better metric between like comparing the two teams' performances over the course of the season. And clearly Napoli just did amazing in the Elite Team League. This goal difference is very hard to achieve in this particular database, and something that like I'm really proud of for this tactic. The Balanced League is another tough league to win, and here Napoli showed up and beat both Liverpool and Real Madrid to the title with a 7-point victory and a goal difference of 50. So like maybe Liverpool at a goal difference of 51 should feel a little bit hard done by that we've been able to beat them by 7 points. And based on what I just said about the Elite League, they'd have a point. But we only lost 5 times. We had the highest goal scoring tally in the division, again, with 91, and the third best defense at 41 goals. So Napoli definitely earned this title, and plus 50 in the Balanced League is another absurd result in terms of goal difference. So just another little bit of like proof that this tactic in the right hands and with the right team can do a ton of damage against top quality opposition. In the average teams, another incredible result, 11-point victory over Arsenal, 92 goals for, 54 against. If anything, it performed the worst in the average teams league randomly, with only a plus goal difference of 38, which was best in the division and was the highest scoring team in the division. Just a little bit leakier on defense for whatever reason. I haven't super investigated that yet, but a little bit leakier on defense, but still an incredibly impressive result in the average teams league. And then finally, in the underdog league, Napoli defeated Southampton by a smaller margin than normal, but the goal difference sort of indicates that the score of 81 points is a little bit of variance. Plus 55 goal difference is a very good result in the Underdogs League, and the fact that that's a good result in the Underdogs League should kind of show you by context how a plus 50 and a plus 47 in the Balanced and Elite Leagues is incredibly impressive. So 90 goals for, 35 against, less than a goal a game. So 81 points I think is a little bit harsh. There probably were some like 1-0, 2-1 losses when the team got like had the higher XG or whatever, but still 81 points is fine. So we won 3 of the 4 divisions with the test, and should have won the Elite League based on these goal difference tallies. And it's an impressive tactic and a really impressive result. So as I said earlier, next week we're going to be tackling some wing play and playing with actual wingers. I haven't completely settled on the shape, whether or not it's a 4-4-2 or sometime a 4-2-4 or what we're going to play, but it will be wing play guaranteed. That is the tactic that we're going to build, even if it fails. We'll talk about why it failed if it did. But you can remember to like, subscribe, and comment on today's video. Also, you can shoot me a follow on Twitch. You'll find me there at twitch.tv/stickpiano. The link is in the description for the video. And I will see you next week with more tactics testing. Wingers are on tap.